Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's doing great today. And today we talking about the movie. Actually, it's a TV series called Jewel and the Crown. If you ever seen The Princess Bride, and the grandpa comes in, he's talking about this book and how it has adventure and fence fighting, sword fighting and pirates and all this good stuff. Well, Jewel and the Crown is much like this. You got your fighting, you got your evildoers doing a backhanded thing, using politics to get their way, cheating and stealing, and you got great action pieces, sets in this. You got great costumes in this show, great set pieces. Everything is just fantastic. Great music. I will say the soundtrack is great. However, the movie music, not so great for me, for my Western ears. It's kind of hard to hear, but I mean, if you're from that culture, it probably sounds very good. It's just our main character joins like the music part of the king of the palace, and they get their orchestra. I'm going to say orchestra, and their instrument systems that sound very good to me. But I'm sure if you're from Korea and from that part of the world, it probably sounds really good to you. But however, the soundtrack that they have, it sounds fantastic. I do like, there's an instrument she plays. It's like, one or two strings. I forget what it's called, but it sounds really good. It's a Korean or Asian instrument. It sounds really good when she's playing it by herself, but when you put all the instruments together, it just sounds like a bunch of noise to me. So you got this great, like I said, it has great costumes, great scenery, like where they film, it's very fantastic. You actually get to see like the mountains of Korea and how it looks like out there in the country. It was very great to me. I liked it a lot. But Jewel and the Crown, what's Jewel and the Crown's about? It's based on history, so the characters are actually lived at one time. However, I would say it's probably 2% historical fact and 98% fiction. Like I always say when I cover these kind of shows that are supposedly historical stuff, never get your history from movies. And this is definitely one of those. As it takes place back in the I'm going to ruin the name. It's back in the Joseon history of Korea. And actually, it's a king. It's one of the king's concubines named Donghui. She comes Subin, and she's actually quite famous because her son ends up becoming one of the greatest kings of Korea during his time period. Anyways, so it's basically about her life, and it really takes liberties on her background and stuff. So in this show, she's actually a daughter of a mortician, and as she grows older, she goes into the palace, and then she attracts the eye of the king, and eventually becomes his wife. The first 5 episodes basically is her childhood, and it really sets the foundation to the later episodes, as it shows why there's a lot of parts in this where she's like trying to solve mysteries and trying to figure out who killed people and stuff like that. And so we really learned how she learned these techniques as a child, and why she believes why she's always trying to defend those who are powerless or falsely blamed for their crimes. As her father, as we learn, at least in this show, her father was framed for a crime that he did not commit. So one reason she went into the palace was to find out who really was responsible for her father's death. And that way, it kind of reminds me of the story of Gangxi, the Palace of Gangxi or something. Story of Gangxi Palace, as the main character in that one goes into the Forbidden City to find out who murdered her sister. And this one, our main character goes into the palace to find out who framed her father. And during this time, she catches the eye of the king, like I already said. This show has it's very great. It's very balanced. You know, you got a lot of these episodes are very serious and kind of like, you know, like how is she gonna get out of these situations? But then it also gives you a lot of episodes where they're just fun episodes. You know, there's nothing really serious going on. You just see her hanging out with her friends or hanging out with the king, which are always very good. The episodes with her and the king are always a must see, especially the first time that they meet. You know, she's trying to figure out who's trying to frame our villain who later becomes a villain, or a princess, a wife, a concubine, which they like. And so that's when her and the king first meets, and that encounter is classic. She doesn't know he's the king because he's in disguise, acting like says he's a prosecutor of the palace, and he's doing some investigation. So there's a time where she's like telling him, you know, to kneel down so she can stand on his back to get over the wall, and he's like, all like, what's going, like, he's never been talked that way before. It's just a very comic part. And so this show does have a great balance between comedy and drama and stuff. It's just a joy to watch, because there's sometimes you're like, oh man, this is just getting too heavy. If you hear that beeping, it means my food's ready. Lost my train of thought because now my stomach's talking. Anyways, so there's a great balance between the drama and the comedy, and as we see her grow, you know, we get to see her and the king's relationship develop from being, you know, friends to becoming more than that, to romance, to them actually having a family together. And as much as this story is about her, it also is just as much about our villain in this. She's a concubine, and it was in her younger years, our main character's younger years, she actually looked up to the villain in this story. She was her hero. She wanted to be just like her, and so we get to really see the transformation of the villain from a righteous person as she slowly turns into to somebody who's unrighteous, who's trying to. She went from somebody being a victim of other people's schemes to being the person doing schemes to harm other people. And a lot of this for our villain was basically pushed on by her family, trying to protect her mother and brother, who, by trying to help her, they do like bad things. And since they're doing these bad things, she's kind of obligated to cover for them, and by doing so, we see the slow turn of our villain through this. So it's a great story, as it covers both of these women's lives. And also this show also probably has like the greatest king ever. He's just an awesome character in this. You know, he's always laughing, and he's always taking things, he's always unwilling to really lay down harsh punishment. And even though basically he has 3 wives in this, he has his queen, and then he has the one concubine that he's really in love with at the beginning, and then he ended up falling in love with our main character. It really shows that he really cares for all 3 of these women in different ways, especially the queen. While he's never like his romantic partner, but you can tell like the high respect he has for her, and that he really deeply cares for her, like they're best friends type of thing. Is this I guess there's really no romantic thing. Plus she's kind of barren. She's not able to give children. But he really goes out of the limb, even for the villain in this. When she does something bad, he really doesn't, because he loves her, he's unwilling to really lay down the law, the punishment that he probably should. I mean, if he would have done it, like gave her a harsh punishment at the beginning, when she first started the churn, maybe she wouldn't have got to the way she was. But since every time she did something bad, he kind of turned the other cheek, you know, turned away from it, gave her a slap on the wrist, which probably made her more daring in this. If there's any downfalls, I guess it would be like their main character. She's kind of passive a lot in this. She's not really, she can be kind of passive and sometimes too forgiving, if that's even possible, to this. And there's many times where the villain really did something harsh, and she just kind of lets it go because she knows the pain that it would cause the king, who she loves. I mean, that's her motivation. Everything she does is for the benefit of the king, and later on, sometimes this conflicts her later on when they have a child together, because some of the harm is going to her child, and she's trying to protect her son, but at the same time trying to protect the king from all these harsh things. But yeah, so on this channel, if you're still here at 10.5 minutes, thank you for listening to me ramble on. This is a great show, so I definitely would highly recommend this. Yeah, I would really recommend, especially if you like historical dramas. This is great show. You get a lot of action. I didn't get to the action. I swear her brother must have took Junk Von Clem Dan must have been his sensei, because of all the roundhouse kicks he does in this. It's incredible. Like, so you get great action in this as well. So you got the action for the men, which is a lot of it. You got a lot of romance for the women, and you got a lot of comedy. You got everything. It does have 4 annoying characters supposed to be like the comic people, but they just sometimes for me turn out to be annoying. I have to stop this. This is going way too long. Hope you guys have a great day, and until next time, bye.